I think this has been an excellent budget for the middle class. It's an incredible budget for the middle class. It is even more than what people expected. We were expecting that there would be zero tax to up to 10 lakh rupees.
Yes.
But it's been brought up to 12 lakh rupees. But I'm not totally clear what happens beyond that. Can you give us the tax suggestions from the way you understand it? Abhishek, over to you. Let's do a quick 5-minute analysis.
Finance Minister clearly said, Arnab, that from 0 to 4 lakh, that's for the old tax regime, I believe. 0 to 4 lakh, no tax. 4 to 8 lakh, 5%. 8 to 12 lakh, 10%.
That was old tax regime.
Yes. But for the new tax regime, I think till 12 lakh, no tax, plus 75,000 standard deduction. So till 12 lakh, 75,000 rupees, no tax. That's a big one because earlier it was 7 lakh rupees plus 75,000.
Right.
So 5 lakh rupee jump.
But
and just for comparison,
there'll be benefits beyond that as well.
Absolutely.
But including in indirect tax when she's calculating the benefit for people, say, above 25 lakhs.
No, this is personal income tax. This is personal income tax. And remember, Arnab, the limit, which was just 1 lakh rupees in 2005, was increased to 2 lakh rupees in 2012. When the Modi government took over, it's about 2.5 lakh rupees. It stands at 12.75 lakh now.
Well, so this makes the Modi government the absolute hero of the middle class. For this morning at least, your first take on this, Sushil, how are the reactions to this? What do you see the income tax slabs in comparison to the expectations?
See, the first reaction that came to mind as I heard her talk was that a large number of us in India who used to be feeling the guilt of being tax burglars, we will have a more legitimate life of earning more legitimately and spending more legitimately. There are too many people I know who hold big cars but still do not declare more than 10 lakhs or 8 lakhs as taxable income. So the entire GDP computation will go up.
I think we should have the graphics out on the previous
tax collections will go up.
And situation very, very clearly, please.
And I think, more than Arnab, just the arithmetic of putting some more money into the pockets of middle class. What to me it hints is government going forward.
Can I have the tax regime graphics up quickly, please? Thank you.
To me, what it hints is 4 years ago, Narendra Modi ji had once uttered, which no Prime Minister uttered, that this government respects wealth creators. I think, some very solid steps are getting taken in government's aggression in direct taxation. And going forward, some very dynamic measures may not be impossible at all, wherein India will be one of the most friendly countries in terms of income tax. This kind of huge jump. Huge positive feedback coming. I think preliminary reactions are absolutely exuberant. And though of course I'm yet to see it in the markets. I don't know why, Mr. Kedia, the market's still in red somehow. Why? See, markets had run up ahead of the Finance Minister.
They'll respond in a bit. Maybe it's just sinking in.
Those who see the stock market is a simple place. Stock market is a simple place. You can be comfortable or you can be profitable. Those who want to be profitable after having the comfort of listening to the budget will pay money to people like me who bought
tremendous boost to India's human resource ecosystem, I can see. The manner in which focuses on skilling centers, the manner in which there is focus on STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, math, the manner in which medical colleges seats are to be increased by 10,000, IITs to be upgraded, all those which have been set up after 2014 to be brought to the level of ones that existed earlier. I think it's a huge thing. National Nuclear Energy Mission, let's
focus on the tax, please. I mean, that's the only focus. Those plates just came in and it went away.
Contributing to economy, but this tax thing is huge. Personal income tax, I think this is going to be the cherry on the cake.
So understand that what is going to happen now is that since there is a 12 lakh exemption, more people are going to move from the old tax regime to the new tax regime. Because at 12 lakhs, it's a huge number. You're going to cover a lot of ground, more than 20%.
I think the last point is mistake. 16 to 12 lakh we've written. I think we need to correct that very quickly. Production team, you got a factual error there. Please fix that, please. And let's redo and recheck the graphics before we fire them. Thank you. Let's not make mistakes, production team. Thank you.
So when the 12 lakh exemption comes, more and more people are going to move from the old tax regime to the new tax regime. What it is going to give is that today that consumption flip will happen. That's very, very important. And also remember, they have ear to the ground. The Honorable Finance Minister has heard what the people wanted. The TDS limit, as you know, when you're paying rent, has gone up from 2.4 to 6 lakhs. So there is a clear indication that the middle class needs to be concentrated. Yes, and the best part is no tinkering on LTCG, no increment on long-term capital gain tax. And believe me, from one house, 2 houses has been given for self-occupation deduction. So there is a clear understanding of what the middle class wants. 12 lakh is a major number. Imagine this is a number bigger than what we gave for 50, 60 years. That's the kind of increase.
Well, the finance minister began by saying that she has her ear to the ground and fingers on the pulse. I think the government has really finally read.
But I want to understand a layman question out here. When we are saying that there is no income tax up to 12 lakh, but we are saying that the 8 to 10 lakh segment is 10%. How does this add up?
No, that is for the old regime. So if you file under the new regime where there are no exemptions available for you, you can straight file under 12 lakhs without any tax. So if you choose the new regime, you will get straight exemption. So more people are going to move from the old. In the old, you have the exemption of Section 80C, insurance, housing loan, and all those exemptions. There, they have increased the number. So what has happened earlier, after 15 lakhs, it was 30%. Now they have gone that to 24, which means 9 lakh rupees more has gone there. So on the old regime,
people who move, suppose there's somebody, please Sohail come in. Suppose there's somebody with an 11 lakh rupee income.
Yeah.
Who chooses the new tax regime.
So they don't have to invest anything for any risks. So 12 lakh is straight zero tax. You don't have to invest for anything.
Suppose someone is earning 11 lakh rupees and comes in the tax slab of 10%, 8 to 10 lakh. How does it become 0%?
Now he can just file the tax return in new tax regime. So there is no tax for him up to 12 under the new regime. Because
but what is this 10% then?
No, that if you file under the old regime.
Old regime.
So so Arnab, just to clarify for your viewers,
because that graphic will be confusing for a lot of people.
Anybody who is filing
old tax regime. Yeah, this is for the old tax regime.
Yeah. So Abhishek, there are 2 important points to be noted. If you file under the new tax regime, you can't go back to the old tax regime. That's another point you need to remember.
You have, my question is, you've been told there's a no income tax up to 12 lakh rupees.
Correct.
I earn 11.99 lakh rupees.
Correct.
Right?
No tax.
I have no tax.
Correct.
But the tax slab, the tax slab is showing me at a 10%.
Okay. Arnab,
explain how do the two add up?
Okay, let me explain this for your viewers.
That's what I want to see added up on the graphics as well on the screen out there.
Yeah.
I want to be clear about this.
So there's a bit of a nudge towards new tax regime.
No, okay, I'll explain this, Arnab. Let's say your salary is 11.99 lakh.
Correct.
You should file your taxation under new tax regime.
Okay.
If you file under new tax regime, you are zero taxed. If you file under the old...
What happens to this 10% category?
That is only for people who are filing under old tax regime. Now, let us say Arnab has got 2 choices, old tax regime or new. If you file under the old, then you will be under 10%.
Yeah, so what the mistake we are making on the graphics also, we are showing this as new tax, old tax. Let's be very clear about one thing. There are tax slabs and there is
the old tax regime. For the new tax regime, up to 12 it's 0.
Yeah, so when we show the tax, please show the graphics properly. When you say that there is under the new tax regime, up to 12 lakhs is 0%, because you're showing this as 10%. That is, if you choose the old regime.
Correct.
Under the old regime.
Correct.
In the tax slab would be at 10%.
Correct.
But then with that 10%, you would have the option of several areas in which you can ask for deductions. So it amount more or less to the same thing. We need to be very clear. We need to show the new tax regime. And that has to be done very, very carefully. I want my entire business team, I want the Republic Digital team to make those graphics of the new tax slabs under the new tax regime so that there is absolutely no confusion. Yes, please. I want to understand this once again. Please, can you tell me once again how this will work out? Sushil Kedia, and I'd like to get a chartered accountant on air, please, so I can get my personal finance expert to explain this. Can we get Sanjeev Narayan, please, on air? He's been with us for a long time, and can we get him on air to explain how exactly this is going to work out? So I'm telling my guest relations to get me the personal finance people right on air, 2 or 3 experts immediately within the next 3 or 4 minutes, so that this can be explained, right? And I don't need to be nudging my news desk now on what to be doing on this. The fact is, they're also told that there is a new income tax bill which is going to be introduced next week, and the finance minister has said that the new income tax bill is designed to be clear and direct in its language, ensuring simplicity and ease of understanding for both taxpayers. Can I have the market graphics also on there? Why do you have to prompt that? For both taxpayers and tax administrators, it's straightforward. The market graphics can be fired. It's straightforward and aims to eliminate confusion, making it more accessible and user-friendly for all stakeholders involved. So we are looking forward to a new income tax tax bill. I think what will happen is everyone's going to move to the new tax regime.
Yeah. So
everyone will
aimed
move.
at nudging people from the old to the new. That's what I was saying, that they will try to make the new tax regime little more enticing, and that's what seems to be the aim, because in the old tax regime till 12 lakh, you still pay some tax. But in the new one, you are not paying any tax till 12 lakh, right?
Most of them will swing out here.
Yes.
Now, because it's 0 till 12 here. And once you swing, remember, you can't go back.
Yes.
So it's basically to dephase it out and ensure that the old tax regime no longer remains, but give a higher an exemption. But yes, it will affect certain industries like insurance, where Section 80C and other investments used to come during Jan, Feb, March.
Yeah.
That will reduce. But yes, it will ensure that people have more consumption and wallet share left in their pocket to spend. This will be a real boost, and 5 lakh is a big number.
And that chartered accountants remain in business.
I don't have guessed list of...
Because to understand all of this, you will need a brain of a higher order. So chartered accountants will be the beneficiaries of any scheme, old, new or middling.
Yeah, we need to get our chartered accountants on air in the next 3 minutes. I'm giving a 3-minute deadline.
How do they do your tax planning, Arnab? How's your tax planning done?
Well, it's done very meticulously, very much in advance, and completely, above board, always.
But we are talking about
middle class, as a company, as an individual. Mukesh Aghi is president and CEO of the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum. I get a comment from him. Mukesh, what do you think about what you've seen so far in the budget? Your post-budget reaction, please.
Another DC guy.
Thank you.
Well, I think the budget is very, very pro-people. They're able to bring the taxes down. I think the important thing is bring a balance on economic growth, making sure there's equality down to the lower segment of the society. It's important that India is the fastest growing market in the world today, and that we need to maintain the momentum. At the same time, ensuring that the gap between the haves and have-not does not get much broader and wider. So I applaud the budget presented by the Modi 3.0, and we look forward to bringing more US companies into the Indian market.
Yeah, absolutely. Abhishek, over to you. I'm just doing some desk stuff out here.
Mr. Aghi, there's a big announcement that has been made, and so the entire focus is on that. But we have you, and I believe you are prepping up for Prime Minister's visit to the United States next month. Is it going to be a big one? Are there going to be major announcements insofar as India-US trade relationship is concerned?
Well, you have to understand, we have a new president with a very different vision than the Biden administration. It is going to be a very, very transactional presidency. So the fundamental question you have to ask is, what is the president looking at? What works for India? What does not work for India? At the moment, he is looking for market access, level playing field. He's looking for basically a trade deal with India, but at the same time making sure that India is able to take back a substantial number of illegal immigrants. So I think the focus is going to be illegal migration. Focus is going to be on a trade deal and more investment from Indian company into the US.
Right. Fair enough. And do you see the budget, an indication in the budget that the government of India is really also readying up for that, prepping up for that kind of transactional relationship?
Come on.
Well, I don't think the budget is tied to this trip or visit itself, but the budget is more focused on trying to drive further consumption, spending power of the Indian consumer. That means that gives a choice to US companies to go after the domestic market. Classic example is Apple. 4 years ago, Apple didn't have much of a market share in India. Today, its revenue has gone up by almost $5 billion in domestic market. So I think as you increase the purchasing power of Indian consumer, that is going to attract US companies to come into India more and more.
I'll thank you.
There is one issue here. What Trump will do is he will try and move all manufacturing back to the United States. So the manufacturing of Apple that is happening in India could be a potential red flag as far as Trumpian policies are concerned. We've seen that in the past. It may happen again, unless you, with your massive influence, can lean on Trump to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, you have to understand, it took almost 40 years for manufacturing to move out of the US and concentrated in China. It will take at least 20 years to move back. So I think that's where we have to look at Atmanirbhar Bharat and America First, and see how you can blend and collaborate, cooperate.
Thank you very much.
You can finish some goods in India and finish some goods in the US. So I think it's an opportunity for India to leverage
okay, we're getting a response right now. We got Tyag back of Blue Star, and we got Rajan Navani, both from CII for their post-budget reactions. Let's go across to both the gentlemen. Rajan, this time you first. Rajan.
Visionary budget.
So I think
volume up. Windows on the screen.
Budget, when you look at it from, it's been a great budget when you look at it from the angle of the investment in people, innovation, and economy. But I think what is important is going to be how do we really look at the government's initiative of building a trust-based regulatory framework and creating ease of business that will trigger an accelerated investment from the private sector. I think the last closing statement of giving more money in the hands of the middle class was really going to be something that will boost the morale of many young people. I think the investment on technology, which we discussed earlier, while we have an additional center of excellence in AI, I think we have to narrow down and really invest significantly in Gen AI. As a country, I don't think we're getting the impact of such a technology on the world and what it's going to do, because it hits across every industry. Would have loved to see more there. Additional national skilling centers coming up, all are very good. But I think overall covered many aspects, but this will really unlock its true value if all stakeholders are able to align around this larger inclusive agenda for India's future.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I'm going to do in about 10 minutes is I'm going to open up phone lines to everyone who wants to ask questions regarding tax slabs. And at 12:45 onwards, I will have a panel on personal finance experts, because that's the focus, as far as I understand, of this budget. Everybody wants clarity on that. Tyag, your reaction, please. Tyag.
Arnab, thank you. The first thing is the fiscal discipline. It is commendable. Second thing is about the consumption story. Because of the personal taxation limits being raised, I think the consumer durables industry, FMCG, should be immensely benefiting from that. National manufacturing mission and focus on exports is other important element of this budget. Becoming a global toy hub or the electronic manufacturing, MSME focus are commendable.
Yeah, absolutely, Tyag. Let's go back on the personal finance aspect out here. You want to give some bigger views, overall views, Sohail, on what you've seen the budget so far?
It has been a wise budget. I'm not prone to hyperbole saying visionary budget, pro-poor, pro-Arnab, pro-Lokesh. No. I have 3 points to make. Number one, I think the entire focus on energy is a welcome focus. We need to be self-reliant. My grouse is, why do we believe in partial pregnancy? We only have 50 tourist destinations outlined. Why not the entire spectrum? Because that's where we need to take a broad-based policy. Number three, Arnab, while everyone will be ecstatic about tax slabs, I will repeat what I said earlier in the day. As responsible citizens, we need to welcome the fact that
I need to see a busy screen right now. I want 6 windows. Vijay Sardana is looking down. So I need to see the 6 windows. Aditi, I won't direct for you. Come on. Yeah, please, carry on, please.
So I generally believe it's a wise budget. It's a budget meant to harness India's potential. And I only hope there are no rollbacks. And I hope the bureaucracy and the other arms of the government are whipped into shape. Because one thing which Rajan also talked about, ease of business has not been effectively deconstructed as I wish it would have. Because the point is, you can keep wanting to do a lot of things. If there are obstacles, nothing will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. The grids and breaking grids have gone completely slow right now. Desk needs to perk up. And ladies and gentlemen, the development measures are proposed across 10 areas, focusing on poor youth, farmers and women. But I think that essentially this focus here is on tax cuts. We've not seen tax cuts like this. Old tax slabs and new tax slabs. Vijay Sardana is with us tonight. How do you, Mr. Sardana, look overall at this budget and in terms of the macroeconomics before I go to the personal finance aspect at 12:45? Vijay.
I think there are a lot of initiatives which Government of India has done, but the biggest concern is if you look into economic survey and also the outcome. Let me give you an example to put things into perspective. This year we launched many of the missions. In last couple of years we had a oilseed mission. If you see the economic survey, the least growth is in oilseed category, even after launching the mission.
Oh, okay.
What this indicates that whatever mission we are announcing in the budget, the execution is somewhere not in place, and that is leading that you are giving focus the least in across the agriculture, where there is no mission, no development, no government intervention. Those sectors are doing better.
Put the 4-window and the market graphics up.
And wherever it is government intervention in the name of mission, I think there is the least growth. And reverse side is
4 windows and market graphics up, please. Thank you very much. Yeah, go on, please.
And the reverse side is
that
we have the least growth in oil seeds. Oil seed product costs are less than MSP and imports are highest in the world.
Yeah.
I think this is where the Government of India, especially Modi government, should focus is on execution.
Yeah.
Because announcements are many,
Abhishek.
executions are missing.
I think there are some announcements, but I still want to focus on this very important aspect coupled with the TCS, TDS changes, Mr. Kedia, and the change in the new tax regime. I think the whole discussion that was there in the morning about getting some disposable income out in the economy, I think the finance minister has sort of delivered on it.
Yes, I said we will expect sweetness regarding personal taxation from the finance minister. I don't think there is any elbow room left for things to be sweeter than what she has said. TCS and TDS being rationalized to a point, taking care of the elderly, the stupidities of taxing rent paid at 20,000 a month now gone to 50,000.
Now.
Okay, and also, including, for example, these this increase in limit for rent from 2.4 lakh to 6 lakh, including for the senior citizens, the TDS limit from 50,000 to 1 lakh. What difference is going to make in terms of greasing of the economy?
See, these were frivolities given the size of the economy, the way things have changed. And government is undoing with administrative frivolities, looking at the realistic changes that are happening in the economy today. They were a nuisance for citizens at that order. So, it's a simplification more than, putting more money into the pockets.
Yeah.
The greater money into the pockets has been put in by, adjusting the new tax regime in a way that because of the rebate, and mind you, rebate is not a birthright that will last forever. Rebate is a temporary measure being given, if you read in between the lines.
This is not. One sec. I take that off, please. Yeah.
If you read in between the lines, you've changed the rate and you've given a rebate. The rebate can be lifted any time into the future.
Yeah.
But people are assuming, both will continue.
Yeah.
So, right? ये गवर्नमेंट बनिए के दिमाग से काम कर रही है.
No, you think the constituency has been addressed, Lokesh? The constituency that was getting restless?
Well, there is a lot more to do. Right now, yes, the government has given a relief by increasing the tax slab. By the new tax regime, there is a 12 lakh limit where nobody is subjected to taxation. This will stimulate microfinance also. It will stimulate domestic demand also. It will have positive outcomes. But the major area of worry is there isn't any major declaration with respect to the social sector scheme as per se. The government is talking about skill development. The government is talking about Atal Tinkering Labs. It is talking about some form of measures to bring about a skilled workforce and all. But
what I'm not clear about, and you explain this to me, there is a nil tax slab up to 12 lakh. Right? There is a nil tax slab up to 12 lakh, that is 12.75 lakh for the salaried class taxpayers with standard deduction of 75,000 rupees. My question therefore is that when the government tells us that the slabs and rates that are being changed across the board shows 8 to 12 lakh rupees at 10%.
So how is it then?
How is it zero? Can someone explain that to me?
I'll explain it.
File it
under your own tax regime.
When an assessee is, when you are filing an income tax return, you have two options.
Yeah.
Whether you file it under the old tax regime or you file it under the new tax regime. So if a taxpayer is filing it under the old tax regime, then he has to be subjected to tax slabs of 0 to 4 lakh,
Correct.
4 to 10 lakh, 10 to 12 lakh. That's 4 to 8 lakh, 8 to 12 lakh.
Correct.
However,
that is the old tax regime.
That's the old tax regime.
Okay.
So suppose that the person tells his chartered accountant that now since the government has raised the limit to 12 lakh and 75% deduction, so we will be filing the returns this year in the new tax regime. Then that person doesn't have to pay any tax up till 12 lakh rupees. He can claim a standard deduction.
But he can't go back to the old regime
but
ever.
After going into the new tax regime, he cannot come back to the old tax regime.
He can't come back. You can't keep switching.
But under the
So
new
I think
tax
the government
regime,
should get its communication right on this.
Don't agonize over this. In life, there are only two certainties: taxes and death. Whatever has to happen will happen. Don't agonize over this, because there's a reason why governments are governments. Their job is to confuse the hell out of us.
Okay,
they've done with aplomb.
What I'm going to do is that from Ashwini and Associates, fantastic chartered accountant, Sanjeeva Narayan is joining us right now, one of the best and leading chartered accountants of the National Capital Region. And let's open up the phone line so people can answer this. Sanjeeva, I'm going to ask some really layman questions out here. I'm earning 11.99 lakh rupees. The government says that I have zero tax. But then the government is also showing me slabs which are going on air right now in Republic, saying 12 to 16 lakh rupees, 8 to 12 lakh is 10%. Can you clarify for me, is it 10% or 0%? And
no,
how do these
things... The way the new scheme functions, you have a rebate of a specified amount, so that incomes up to 12 lakhs should be exempt from tax. So they provide a rebate, from 4 to 12 lakhs, the amount of tax which is due. To that extent, there is a rebate. So you get an exemption from that, and effectively the amount of 12 lakhs, you are not liable to pay tax. So this is the way.
But how does it add up? I mean, you're saying 10%, but you're giving me rebate of 10%, making it effectively 0%.
That is the way it adds up.
Technically, I'm paying tax.
Huh?
Technically,
no, you're not paying tax. No, nothing is going out of your hands, so you're not paying tax.
So this is only aimed at making sure I file my returns.
You file your returns so that you are in the radar. People know the.
So the thing is, the point is, there is going to be a rebate given on the 10 lakh rupees. So the effective rate of taxation will be 0%. But since you think I may cross over to a taxable category, you're going to keep a watch on me. And
I would not say you'll watch on me. I'm nobody to put words.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that a person paying zero tax after a rebate should not think that they will not be required to file their returns. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they're not seriously out of the tax system. They're not. You will still be required to file return. Yes, that's right.
So a person will have to file the return and then get a rebate.
I told you
get a rebate on.
Sanjeev will be rich by the end of next fiscal year. All of us will be depleted.
I hope I'm. Sohail, thank you for the wishes. I hope your words come true.
Sohail will come to you for his tax returns. He's got to pay more tax. Tax authorities keep the focus on this man.
Please keep. Anyway, I don't want to say what I did to Jaswant Singh many years. But Sanjeev, on a serious note, do you believe that even in our taxation, even in their taxation policy, there is ease of understanding? Without ease of understanding, how will there be ease of business? I'm unable to understand why we have complexities for every simple thing in this country.
No, but Suhail, on that...
No, 1 minute, let him... No, 1 minute.
Phone numbers on. Phone numbers on,
No, just to reply to what Suhail is saying, that our Income Tax Act, it came into being in 1961. Since 1961 to 2025, more than 60, 70 years later, there's been an entire change in the operating ecosystem, the social needs, the political needs, the economic needs have changed. So, I understand that we make our bread and butter out of a complicated tax regime, a complicated tax structure. But with the FM's, promise of bringing a new simplified tax law, which will, we have provisos, we have sub-provisos, we have explanations, we have sub-explanations, we have clauses. So there's a lot of complication in the existing act. But with the new act, I'm sure the FM would take care of all those things and limit the income tax to what it is meant to be. That is a collection of direct taxes and not extended to many other socio-economic and other political aims.
Okay, so this is an explanatory Saturday afternoon where we are trying to explain. And the first question I asked today on behalf of many of you, will I have to file my returns if I am under 12 lakhs?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
In your case, it's a non sequitur. because your income will never be under 12 lakhs.
He's
You
talking
ask
about
on
per
behalf
month.
of
I am
me.
asking on behalf of people. I am asking on behalf of people.
Yeah.
I'm asking on behalf of the people.
You have to file Arnab.
You're asking on behalf of corporate India, Sohail.
Yeah, that 12 lakhs is a kind of a misnomer.
I don't understand. Pre-budget, he's against corporate India. Post-budget, he comes for corporate India.
me tell you-
He's got to decide which side he's on. No, your friend Piruz Kambata is on right now.
Piruz, fine, yeah.
Okay, put Piruz on it.
Let me tell you, I'm not against anyone. All I'm saying is that corporate India must absolve itself of latent hypocrisy. You cannot want sops from the government and then ask for freedom. There's always a catch. And there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Okay.
Or a free rasna.
Should I open order free rasna? Okay, this is going to be a boost in my view for India's consumer FMCG sector. I'd like to see how Piruz is responding. Piruz, are you excited about this? It's great for the middle class, this budget. What do you think, Piruz?
Yes. They are going to save a lot of money. They should at least spend 2-3 rupees more on rasna. I'll be very happy.
Stop plugging. Put an ad out on. Buy an ad on Republic. Stop plugging. Okay, now tell me seriously. What do you expect the impact of this to be?
I was expecting this to go up to 10 lakh or something.
Okay.
12 lakh rupees up to that no tax is a very great move.
Yeah.
And it is not only 12 lakhs.
Yeah.
Even up to a 25 lakh
Also.
income, you save money, and you save significant money.
Yeah.
And in spite of this 1 lakh crore giveaway, the fiscal deficit will still be within the target.
Yeah.
And I think that shows that the government is pretty confident on growth.
Very confident on growth, punting on growth.
Otherwise, this little deficit would not have stayed same.
Yeah.
See, you haven't
See
touched
what-
on, you're worried about taxes.
Now, I think don't only focus on this salary. I think we should focus on the overall budget into various sectors. Like, for example, even manufacturing has been given a lot of boost.
Exactly.
Food processing has been given boost.
Yeah.
Exports have been given boost.
Yeah.
They are talking of EODB.
Agricultural growth.
And they are talking of decriminalization of more laws. So
Yeah,
all this is, I think, the whole package will
Yeah.
also add to the growth.
You see, it's all linked. It's all linked, Piruz. Piruz, the growth areas, agriculture, rural
Exactly.
prosperity, manufacturing, MSME, then energy supplies, promoting exports. All of this is the belief of the government. That's why the government says we are going to take the hit we're going to forego income we're going to forego income, but we are confident the country will move forward and we are all moving forward.
So I think if I were to position this budget,
Yeah.
it's a belief in India and a belief in Indians' budget.
Yeah.
The first time ever the government of India has recognized that Indians have the potential and India has that potential to be in the comity of nations as an economic superpower.
Yeah.
And they are enablers,
I have too many
not
callers.
interrupters.
Numbers. Too many callers are calling in right now. The phone numbers are on the screen.
Yes.
Sanjeeva will take questions. All of us will support Sanjeeva in the process. We are just going to be taking our callers in 1 second once I get a go-ahead from my very busy PCR. But for many salaried individuals, especially in the middle class group, this reform on taxes is going to result in significant savings. Additionally, the increased tax relief will give much needed support for household consumption, which has been household consumption, Lokesh. It's going to be a huge factor, household consumption this time. It'll benefit large sections of the economy. I think that's one very important thing. Okay, Jeetu Punjabi is also joining us in a bit. Jeetu Punjabi is a fantastic guy, runs his own fund now, used to be heading the Capital Group, one of the best investment bankers the country has seen so far. But we have clarity on this. Abhishek has clarity. Let's get Jeetu in first before I come to you. Jeetu, big headline you're drawing. Big headline you're drawing today.
Well, I think the big headline is that she had something for every section of the economy. She's been extremely responsible fiscally, and she's given hands in the pockets of the people who really needed it. I think it's good for the country, and she's also had the manufacturing sector. So I think all of the above, but that's really what I think my top thoughts are.
Absolutely. Jeetu, stay with us. We got callers calling in on the tax changes. Pawan from Bengaluru, first caller, and then we keep it going. Pawan, your question. Can you keep it brief? Do you have a question on the tax issue?
Hello.
Yeah, Pawan, on the tax issue, any question?
Yeah, actually, I'm
Louder.
working in corporate, and they're cutting a minimal amount already for the tax. So will I get the refund, as it is up to 12% as nil now?
Sanjeev, you got that?
Yeah, these,
Louder,
the new tax rates will apply prospectively from 1st April 25 onwards. So they are effectively for financial year 25-26, not for financial year 24-25.
Excellent.
So for the current year, the old rates will apply. So you cannot expect a refund for the tax bill this year. The reduced tax rates are applicable for financial year 25-26. That is assessment year 26-27, for which you will file a return next year.
That's brilliant.
Unfortunately, I have to say no.
In fact,
You won't get a refund.
Arnab should put your phone number on the screen so that people can actually call you directly. And
Then I'm going to charge a commission then from Sanjeev.
He'll help the people. He'll help the people.
Okay.
Come on, guys. Come on. You know, come on. Okay, Vivek Kumar is calling from Mumbai. This is a absolute people tax session I'm going to do for 15 minutes. Yeah, Vivek, hi. What's your question? Sanjeev's taking questions. We'll have more experts also joining. Vivek Kumar from Mumbai.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Louder. Yes, go on, Vivek. Go on.
Slab up to 12 lakh, there is no taxes. But what is like somebody who's earning more than 12 lakhs, like somebody who's earning 30 lakhs? So how much he need to pay taxes in the new tax regime, and how much he need to pay tax in the old tax regime? So let's do a comparison and show how much we have benefited from this new policy. This is what we want to understand.
I'll explain.
Exact figure, Nirmala Sitharaman has pointed out, it will be about 80,000 rupees.
The slab will apply.
He's saying, Vivek, if I understand correctly, you're saying you want to know what exactly a person will forego in taxes, direct taxes, at various levels, right, Vivek?
Like somebody who's earning more than 12 lakh rupees, so how much, he need to pay, like 5%, 10% in the new tax regime. And the same if somebody is, opting for the old tax regime, and that guy is going to be taxed on like from 0 to 4 is free, 4 to 5, 4 to 8 is 5%. So including that guy is going for like 80C and 80D and 80G. So how much he is going to benefit if he chooses the old tax regime and new tax regime? This is what I'm comparing.
Let Sanjeev take that. Let Sanjeev take that. Sanjeev, thank you, Vivek. Sanjeev is you want to answer that?
You see, in the new tax regime, up to 12 lakhs, the tax level you will get a rebate, and you will not get any further deductions except for the standard deduction on account of salaries. So effectively, if you are a salaried taxpayer, you get a rebate of 12,75,000. And the tax rebate, the rates are as for 12 lakhs onwards. And if you are following the earlier tax regimes, your 80C, 80G, etc., you are entitled to those rebates, but your tax liability kicks in at 4 lakhs. So you will, depending on your personal status, what kind of exemptions do you have, what kind of rebates do you have for under various sections, you'll have to do a back of the envelope calculation comparing the two. The income tax sites offer a facility where you can compare your two regimes and opt which one to apply for. So one can't give any blanket answer as to what would be applicable.
But would it be fair to say there'll be overall benefit for someone say at 15 lakh, 20 lakh, Sanjeev?
Yeah, it'll normally speaking, generally speaking, very broadly speaking, it'll be beneficial to people in that range. Yeah.
We have just one minute here, please. There are different voices in my ear right now. Ashok Saigal is joining, co-chairperson of CII. Thank you very much, Mr. Saigal. Your first reaction from CII on this budget?
Well, I think, as you mentioned, I'm with CII, National Council for MSME matters. Yeah. And this budget has been very, very encouraging for MSMEs. The turnover required to qualify for each of the slabs of micro, small and medium enterprises has been doubled in this budget. Now, if you look at the contribution of MSMEs to the national economy, contribute in the past about 45% of manufacturing GDP. With the new limits which have been announced, I would expect that this number may touch 60%. Similarly, in terms of exports, which were earlier about 35%, this should be somewhere in the range of close to 50%.
Yeah.
So once we get up to such a large contribution by MSMEs, I'm sure MSMEs' problems and issues would be looked at much more seriously at the central level, as it is already identified by FM as one of the 3 thrust areas or engines she defined right at the beginning of her speech, but also at the state and local levels where most MSMEs face difficulties in the interactions with the bureaucracy and the rule makers.
Exactly.
Once they realize what is the contribution being made by MSMEs, I'm sure that they would be far more responsive in terms of making life easier for the MSMEs and in facilitating anything to help them to grow faster. So I think this has been the most significant thing we could have seen.
Ashok, taking off from what you just said, a good thing for you and CII, I mean, under your stewardship would be to actually launch a nationwide awareness campaign to encourage states to involve MSMEs in this new ecosystem of the mainstream economy. That would be a step forward.
Thank you. Arnab?
Quite right. And I'm happy to say, of course, not related to the budget, but generally, CII does have a structure that from the National Council, we have regional councils and state councils, and each of them have a lot of representation from MSMEs.
Yeah.
And there is a misconception somewhere that CII is a organization of large corporates. About 70% of the membership of CII is from MSMEs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And apart from that, every meeting that we have, we see the large corporates are very, very supportive of MSMEs. They always talk of MSMEs, MSMEs part of the supply chain, and encourage MSMEs to come up.
Yeah, Ashok Sehgal, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I'm joined by Mayank. Mayank is joining us, and Mayank is partner of Khaitan and Company. Hi. This is a tax segment, Mayank. Actually, the way the budget panned out, Mayank, this has completely become a focus on tax. So I'm opening up lines. Thank you for joining us. And that's your practice. And we also have with us Sanjeeva Narayan, partner at Ashwini & Associates. 2 great personal finance experts with us. Thank you very much. Jeevan is calling in from Assam. We're going to take your calls. I have 100 calls lined up and waiting to go. So each caller will get 10 seconds and straight answers. Short answers, please. Jeevan from Assam, if you can hear me, what's your question? And lines should go straight on the landlines through. Jeevan is not lined up right now. Okay, PCR is informing now that he's dropped. And ladies and gentlemen, raising the income tax exemption threshold to 12 lakh is a deeply positive move, especially for the middle classes. Yes, please.
Yeah, one important point. India is the only democratic country which is given an exemption of 5.2 times their national per capita income as exemption. India's per capita income is at about $2,600. Into 5.2 times is your exemption given, which is the highest world over. Point number 1. Point number 2, all TV channels, including, we need to be very specific because the words are very confusing. It is new slabs for old regime. The moment you put new income tax slab, people get confused between new regime, old regime, new slab.
Yes.
So English has to be new tax slab for old regime, and new regime is different. So this is how you have to put.
So I mean, I just said because it's the regime. Yeah. They might get confused when you say regime. They might think it's another tax. Yeah. No, I'm just saying to be clear.
Next time I'm going to use some words, Sohail, I'm going to ask you before I use it.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think 5.2 times the per capita income is the highest in the world. So for any democratic country. And that's big. And I think the highlight of the budget is that 12 lakh exemption.
Okay.
And it's going to save a huge number.
Very true.
Yeah. Can you be quiet, please, Abhishek? Now, the question is, Rajesh Dimri, is chair of CIS Taxation Committee, is going to be joining us. But I want to start by asking Mayank to explain to all our viewers before the calls come in, and maybe we have a few callers. I think Ganesh is calling in from Bengaluru. What this means for those below 12 lakh and above 12 lakh. How should they look at it? Yeah.
No, so Arnab, thank you for this. See, it's a tax that's being applied to the old regime, right? So therefore, one, you'll have to see how it pans out in terms of the fine print in the bill. But nonetheless, at least from the preliminary reading of the finance bill that's been released till now, it appears to have a positive impact for both under the 12 lakh income bracket as well as also above the 12 lakh bracket as well. So one, you're pushing a lot of people who were liable to pay tax earlier, and that was a significant portion of the middle class and the earning class, who will now have a lot more disposable income at their hands and probably end up increasing consumption as well. That seems to be the intent. As also the fact that for people who are in above the 12 lakh regime, for them also there's a significant amount of tax savings. We'll obviously have to see how the finance bill is panned out in terms of the deductions that are available and whether that may have an impact or not. But that's something that we can surely sort of look at over the course of the next 2-3 days when there are intellectual discussions on the fine print of the budget.
Okay, I'm just checking where the calls are on. Ganesh from Bengaluru, are you there? Ganesh from Bengaluru, are you there? PCR again. He's there.
Yeah, I am there.
He's there. Thank you very much. Our producers are saying you're not there, but I have a belief you're there. Ganesh, go on, please. What's your question?
Yeah. My question is, say I am a senior citizen. Suppose if my total income is 16 lakhs, well, and under the new tax regime, up to 12 lakhs, 12.75 lakhs, there is no tax. For the balance 4 lakhs, so what rate I should pay the tax in the new regime?
No, what is your income?
So my income is 24 lakhs.
24 lakhs. So, what's your taxable income? So, what's your question? What's your question?
My question is, see, you said up to 12 lakhs there is no income tax. Now, for the balance 12 lakhs, how much of tax I have to pay?
No, I don't think it's like that. But they will explain to you. If you are having an income of 24 lakh, you will be taxed at the 24 lakh income level, I guess. But Sanjeeva will explain to you. Sanjeeva, answer the question, please. Sanjeeva.
Yeah, you see, it's a grading system of taxation. It's a slab rate. So as per the slab rate applicable to him, I don't know whether he has any deductions under Chapter 6A, etc., etc. And as Mayank said, we'll have to look at the fine print as to how the scheme of deductions has been reframed in the budget. But it will be on the slab rate as applicable to his current level of taxation. And we'll have to compare both the old and new regimes and decide what would be the effective rate and what would be his exact tax liability. But the fact remains, the basic answer is that he would be liable to pay tax as per the slab rates in force.
Ganesh, I hope that answers your question. And in case you need more information, Sanjeeva Narayan of Ashwini Associates is of course there to help you. Jayaraman is calling in from Hyderabad. Jayaraman ji, hi, what's your question? Jayaraman ji, are you there?
Hello. I'm Ganesh from Bangalore.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, you got your answer, sir, Ganesh ji? Thank you.
No, I did not get my answer. See, suppose if my income is 24 lakhs, at what rate I have to pay tax? More than 12 lakhs, at what rate I have to pay tax?
You need to appoint a CA first.
It is a chartered accountant session. Let Mayank answer that. Mayank.
No, so it's a progressive system of taxation. So while you are taking a very simple mathematical calculation, the 24 less 12, and therefore on 12 I'll have to pay taxes. That's not how the law works. You will have to first see what's your gross income, reduce the deductions, then come to the taxable income, and then depending on the slab in which you are, you'll be liable to pay taxes. So it's not a simple calculation that it's X percentage of 12 lakh and we'll call it a day. Unfortunately, the law is not, and in fact, income tax laws across the world are not as simple as that. But that's where the reality lies, Ganesh, for you.
Plus, it will also depend on the nature of income that you have. The level, the head of income, whether it is salaries or house property or interest, each scheduler system.
Louder.
Yeah. It will depend on the nature of tax liable income that you have. So calculations will depend on the quality of the income that you have, whether it is salaries or pensions or interest or house property.
Yeah,
so,
I'm asking PCR again, when do I have to take my next break? Because I'm not getting instructions, so I'm having to speak on air. So Rajesh Dimri is the head of the CIA's Taxation Committee. Rajesh Dimri ji, what do you feel about the tax suggestions, the tax relief that has been given? Are you still waiting for some clarifications?
I think it's of course, we have to get into the fine print. A lot of details come in the fine print. But on an overall basis, if you look at the direct tax provisions, government is foregoing 1 lakh crores. That much money is going to be left in the hand of the taxpayers. And that on an overall basis is a great news for the taxpayers. Now, how individuals will get impacted will make it, will be different. But overall, 1 lakh crore of tax is being forgone.
No, as I understand it, Mr. Dimri, the fact is that if you are earning more than 12 lakh rupees, then this nil tax till 12 lakh does not apply to you. You are out of that.
So, this 12 lakh, 7 lakh being increased to 12 lakh rupees, if somebody is earning 24 lakh rupees, earlier they were getting a minimum, threshold of 7 lakh, which is going to get to 12 lakh. That will impact everyone, but people in the high income bracket will still end up paying tax. So, it is only meant to apply to the middle income group, which is, I think, the whole focus on the, so the target audience has been. It is not that everybody will have a reduction because the 30% reduction remains. So it is only going to maximum impact a certain segment, but on an overall basis, a little bit benefit is available to everyone.
Amit Agarwal, founder of No Broker. Everyone knows No Broker is joining us right now. Amit, what do you make of the changes in the tax regime? What impact will this have on everywhere, including real estate market? Amit Agarwal, No Broker. Please go ahead, Amit. What do you think?
So basically having more money in the hands of the consumers is a good thing overall. But on the real estate side, we are a bit disappointed because not much has been done in terms of the real estate. So we were hoping that the housing loan exemption limit will be revised. We're also hoping that the capital gain taxes which were changed last year would be relooked at. So that hasn't been looked at. So not much for real estate in this budget, but happy to note that the income tax slabs basically have become more favorable.
Yeah. Okay. Amit, thank you. Abhishek, lines are open. Ram Mohan Naidu is calling from
Anantapur.
Anantapur. Mr. Naidu, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, what's your question? Go on, please.
Sir, actually, I'm getting nearly 20 lakhs.
Louder, please.
Yeah.
PCR, louder. Audio is to be pushed on louder from the audio control room. Thank you. Yes.
Sir, actually, I'm getting nearly 17 lakhs per annum.
So, 1 minute. Yes, sir.
I'm getting 17 lakhs per annum, and nearly now 15,000 rupees per month income tax is deducted. So just I want to know how much I can save with this new budget rules, sir, actually.
What's your income?
17.5 per annum, sir.
17.5 per annum, and you are.
Yes,
what's
sir.
your question?
Now I have applied for new regime, sir, and nearly 15,000 rupees per month tax is deducted. So with this new slab, how much amount I am going to save per month, sir? Month or annum?
Okay, audio not very clear, but can you answer that? Sanjeeva, 17.5 lakhs per annum is his income, right?
And just do a simple back of the envelope calculation to tell you the amount of tax that you will pay. But again, as we discussed a couple of minutes earlier, it will have to depend on what kind of income that you are generating and what kind of exemptions that you have. So on that basis, we can do a calculation. As I also said earlier, the department offers a tax calculator. They have a facility on their e-filing website where you can compare what would be the kind of liability. And secondly, just to make it clear, these slab rates, these new rates apply from income with effect from 1st April 2025, and not for the income from the current year. So it applies prospectively from next year. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have Vivek Vadwa, Vice President of Taxman, who is joining us right now. The focus is on tax.
Yeah.
Naveen, I'm going to ask you to take some questions. Our next caller is BN Kumar Swamy from Bengaluru. Mr. Swamy?
Yes, sir, I am here.
Yeah, go on. Ask your questions, sir. We have all our experts lined up for you.
Sir, I would like to convey my happiness over the budget announced.
Yep.
And the one thing I want to make it clear.
Quite.
Suppose my income is 20 lakhs per annum. Are you hearing?
Yes,
sir?
Go ahead.
Suppose my income is 20 lakhs per annum. Which plan I have to adopt? Whether I have to go for old plan or new plan? Sir, please clarify me.
Okay, I'll ask Vivek to answer that question. The question is very simple, Vivek. I'd like to put you on air. I can be on a 2-window there on the left-hand side. And the question is, Vivek, the gentleman calling in right now is saying, I have an income of 20 lakhs per annum. What should I opt for? New tax regime or old tax regime?
Definitely. Now, old tax regime is out of question. The gap in the tax payable in the old tax regime and the new tax regime is now so wide. The old tax regime is
I need to see the guest on air for the vision mixer. I'm saying put the guest on air. Thank you very much. Yeah, quicker. Yeah, go on.
So what I'm saying, the gap in the tax payable and the old tax regime and the new tax regime is now so wide that the old tax regime is virtually not valid for anyone. And in your case, I don't remember the name of the speaker. In your case, the tax payable you can save 85,800 rupees if you opt for the new tax regime. So by default, you should go in the new tax regime. Old tax regime is out of question for you, sir.
Thank you very much. Tanuja is calling from Mumbai. Tanuja, please stay on, please. Tanuja from Mumbai.
Arnab, sir. Thank you for the question. So basically, I have one question regarding, first of all, as per the budget, I could understand that new old tax regime will be scrapped out completely in the next coming years. Secondly, I just want to mention that rationale behind, neutralizing this new tax regime, is there any move a government is making sure to keep it for the next 2 years, and maybe they are in the process of bringing a new direct tax code. So in that new direct tax code, maybe these budget, which is looking fancy for us right now, will definitely come out as a drawback for the next 2 years if the new direct tax code is out there. I mean, I just want to understand the rationale behind introducing this big exemption tax rebate.
Vivek.
Okay, so the rationale behind going for the new tax regime over the old tax regime is clear. The deduction and exemptions in the current income tax act, that they're so confusing and it creates a lot of scope for tax exemption, and eventually the department can harass the taxpayers. And you can see that recently the salary taxpayers have been claiming the political deduction for the political donation, and all these are the fake donations and the fake deductions. So to make the thing simple, to make the tax regime simple, the income tax department has taken this move, and I do agree with your point of view. Eventually, in another 1 or 2 years, this old tax regime will be out of the Income Tax Act. Possibly, they can take even that step in the new income tax bill, which is going to be tabled in next 1 week. So I do agree, yes, it can be completely ruled out of the Income Tax Act.
Rajesh is calling from Chennai. Rajesh, hi.
Rajesh, yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, perfect. So I was looking at the tax slabs. My question is, like a person getting 12 lakhs and a person getting 12 lakh 1,000 rupees, right? So the net take home after taxes for a person getting 12 lakh 1,000 will be far less than a person getting 12 lakhs. Is my understanding correct?
Sanjeeva, you want to take that?
I think your apprehension are somewhat misplaced. This is not the case. Taking into account the overall scenario, your tax liability for a person who's marginally over 12 lakhs, he would get a marginal rebate, and so he will not be in a worse off situation than the person getting less than 12 lakhs. So yeah. I think you are somehow not warranted on that account. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that should be 100% where you write rebate. Otherwise, people will think of that as 100 rupees. Graphics team, please note. Shailesh Haribhakti is joining us right now. Please take that off, correct it and bring it back. Shailesh Haribhakti is with us right now. Shailesh Haribhakti ji, we spoke pre-budget, now post-budget. What's the headline?
The headline is that this is
louder, please.
This is a hugely investment-provoking budget. The money that is going to be left in the hands of people on account of tax reduction, coupled with the amazing amount of institutional support for funding and financing, the absolutely out-of-the-box way in which tariffs have been reduced for things which will be used for value-added export. I think this is an incredible budget which will boost the whole climate, the whole sense regarding investing in India, and I see massive investment coming in. Look at the investment in insurance going from 74 to 100% FDI.
Yeah,
I think that is such a significant move It will bring in huge long-term resources into our country.
I agree.
Coupled with all the other enablers that have been put in place, India is really signaling that we have arrived, we are confident, and we will be Viksit. And I think this 7% syndrome that has captured us, we will have to get out of it and start thinking about 10% compounded annual.
I think this budget can do that. But what I'm happy about this budget can do that, Shailesh.
Booster rocket which can take us to 10%.
Yeah.
I have actually created a whole game plan to do that. And I'll make it available to you, Arnab. So if you like it, you can do what you like with it.
Yeah, share it with us. I'll put it on Republic World. We'll make it a talking point. You know, our job is to start conversations here, to steer conversations in the right direction. And I'm very happy because this is the highest exemption in 20 years for the middle class.
And you know what
So
Shailesh said about
and they'll be happy. You know.
No, but Arnab, what he said about insurance is very important. Increasing FDI in insurance actually helps recapitalize these insurance companies which were earlier hemmed and hawed in. A. B. IRDA now needs to be more responsible in its ombudsman role. Because one thing is opening the sector, the second is to make sure that premia and settlements and claim settlements are done with efficiency and alacrity. I will only say one thing before I leave, that Arnab, we are at a great inflection point in our country's history.
Oh, yeah.
Both globally as well as domestically. And I think what Nirmala Sitharaman has done is she has shown that the government is willing to be an enabler, provided we as citizens and corporates are playing and going to play our roles responsibly and respectfully.
But government's also shown it's listening.
Absolutely.
It's beginning to listen, you know, Sushil. And maybe that is an impact of the election result also. They're listening right now.
And the elections that are about to happen.
And they're listening. And it's the middle class which bears the most tax burden. I don't think you can win or lose Delhi based on this, but this is going to be a fillip for Delhi for sure.
Absolutely.
This is going to be a fillip for Delhi for sure. I think for the middle classes in Delhi. What do you think, Mr. Dana?
That is fine, but one point in the budget, if you go into detailing, total revenue collection is about 42 lakh crore. In the whole calculation, service tax is only 100 crore. Why don't you abolish it? Unnecessary, a compliance burden of service tax and only collection is 100 crore. That is one. Second area which government should look at is commodity transaction tax. They even don't know. 4 years ago, it was only 500 crores. One side you are giving away 1 lakh crore, keeping an account of 100 crore makes no sense.
But we'll have to wait for the income tax bill, which the government has said. So I expect, good point, but I expect a follow-up on the basis of this. I expect a follow-up, and I'm sure there is some room the government has kept for the budget discussion. They would have kept some room for leveraging things where things can go. Okay, now we also have our next guest. Maybe you can go across straight to our next guest, Abhishek.
Yes.
And our next guest is Mr. Atul Lal, co-chair of the FICCI Committee on Mobile and Manufacturing. Is managing director of Dixon. A manufacturing sector response would be excellent from him. Atul, what do you think? Wait.
We belong to the electronics manufacturing sector. And in the last 10 years, the policy framework for electronics sector has been extremely positive. The sector has grown from $25 billion to $150 billion. Now, the next target of the government is to take it up to $500 billion.
It's Sanjeev Narayan on it.
Significant initiatives have been taken in this budget. One is the rationalization of the inverted duty structure. For mobile components, the duties have been brought down from 2.5 to 0%. Which is going to make our mobile industry much more cost effective. Second, there has been rationalization of duty on the IFPD, that is the flat panel televisions, which is going to promote the manufacturing of this particular SKU in the country. Third, the inputs of the open cell, the duty has been reduced from 2.5 to 0%, which is further going to give a flip to the manufacturing. Now, these are significant steps forward. Further, on a larger basis, I think what the Honorable Minister mentioned of a light regulatory touch, that is most welcome. And she has already announced, just to give you an illustration, she has announced that for IGCR, which was a point of contention for whole industry, she has extended the end-use period from 6 months to 1 year. The filing of returns, which was every month, has been extended to a quarter. Now, these are very, very positive steps for enhancing the ease of doing business. From FICCI, what we had asked for in certain electronic products has been accepted. That means the government is listening. So we really want to thank the Honorable Finance Minister for these positive steps for our sector.
Yeah, I'm just telling, I've sent a message to my directors that I need the personal finance guests back on air because we got too many callers right now calling on personal finance, and I need to see them on the windows to make sure they're there. So I'm extremely sorry to all the callers who are lining up right now. I'm just fixing that bit and coming back to you. Vinayak Chatterjee is founder of the Infra Vision Foundation and chairman of the CI Infra Council. Vinod Sharma is MD of Deki Electronics, and both are joining us from CII. First to you, Vinayak. Vinayak, what do you make of this budget in terms of capex, in terms of,
Yes.
where it's moved on from last year to now? Is it more or less in the same direction, or what's the directional move you think the government has taken regarding infra and man? Yeah.
Well, wonder of wonders. This is probably the first year in my living memory that the infra allocation is flat. The allocation last year was 11.1 lakh crores for infra sector, and the allocation this year is 11.2 lakh crores. So it's practically flat.
We have
Sorry,
three experts.
Is there a disturbance at your
No, I
end
can
or
hear
my
you
end?
loud and clear. Yeah.
Sorry? Okay. So what I was saying is that this is probably the first year in my living memory as a budget analyst to find that the allocation is practically flat. It's almost zero. From 11.1 lakh crores last year to 11.2. And that raises the larger question that till now, the governing mantra of the government for the last 10 or more years has been that infra outlays would be the vehicle for pump priming the economy. That 1 rupee spent on infra would result in 3 rupees of GDP. And that would lead to employment, multiplier demand, lifting people out of poverty. So the $1 million question is, or the billion rupee question is, has that economic mantra now changed? Because on the one hand, there is a call for private capital, which is there littered across the budget speech. And there is a very serious issue that the allocation, it is said, has not been increased because last year's budget has not been utilized. So now that's a very serious challenge facing the country, that if infrastructure and public sector outlays on building the country were supposed to take this country millions out of poverty, then this lack of project execution capacity is probably a very, very difficult challenge that we must now rise to address. You have the money and you haven't spent it. And because you haven't spent it, you're cutting the allocation. This could potentially be a vicious cycle. But let me stop here.
Yeah. I think you've said it absolutely clearly out there, Vinayak, but I think the government is doing a very fine balancing act out here. If you see the way they are looking at the fiscal deficit target for next year at 4.4%, despite the capex allocation, despite foregoing a significant amount of personal tax collections, I think they are walking a very, 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 very sort of, I would say, fine path on this. Vinod Sharma, how do you view it from the electronics industry sector, from the point of view of manufacturing capacity? Over to you.
Yeah, so I think the 3% GDP, that 3% multiple that Vinayak mentioned, which will now not be there from the infra, government hopes will come from manufacturing, and we are very, very positive about it. So at CII, we had spoken about manufacturing at great length as also an employment generation and export potential. So from all three fronts, I think, we find that Madam FM has ticked the boxes. Let me go into a little detail. If you look at it from electronic manufacturing perspective, starting with investment and the fact that NRIs, for example, have been given that special privilege to be able to invest into the electronic sector, that is one positive. On a customs duty, there's a lot of rationalization. A lot of duties have been brought down, for example, on open cell, on connectors for mobile phones, etc. The idea is that we begin to do more value-added electronics manufacturing in India rather than pure assembly that we've so far gotten to. But there are also 2 points that really got my attention, which I think will have a deep impact. One is the National Manufacturing Mission that Madam announced.
Don't share names.
Where we believe that a GST kind of council, kind of consultative committee will happen, where center and state together can talk about contentious issues for manufacturing like labor, land and electricity. And I think that will have. Similarly on exports, and especially again electronics got a very big mention there. There is a sectoral discussion on how, because mobile phones has become the second largest merchandise export out of India now after oil. And we do hope that the entire electronic sector and the manufacturing sector will certainly not only be a factory to India, but factory to the world.
Absolutely. Vinayak and Vinod, thank you for joining us from CII there. Thank you very much, Vinayak, as well. Your experience does count very much for us. Vineet Agarwal, past president of ASSOCHAM, also joining us live on Republic Business. Vineet, your reactions, industry reactions, overall reactions to the budget.
It's excellent to see the budget again, looking at all the positive steps. Irrespective, the 11.2 lakhs crore spend on infrastructure is still massive. I think we have execution challenges, but still, if that happens, we see a massive trickle-down effect onto the economy. It has an impact of on almost 15 industries across the board.
Yeah.
The second aspect around infrastructure is that infrastructure helps to ultimately bring down logistics cost, which makes our country competitive, whether it is domestic movement or whether it is exports.
Yeah.
So logistics costs will come down when there is when you're moving things from road to rail or to sea or to coastal shipping. Those are areas where the government has focused on. There's a 25,000 crore budget on the maritime side, which is shipbuilding, etc. Today, almost all the ships in India that are being utilized are being built overseas. So this is another aspect where we will see ships getting built in India, repairs being done here, and subsequently that would help in ultimately more capacity being added to the coastal shipping and ultimately bringing down logistics cost. So there is a large allocation towards infrastructure. I think that helps. MSME has been wonderful. I think the impact is again multifold, and the areas with credit, increasing credit and credit card scheme, etc., are all going to be very useful, because MSME in the last 9 months to a year have been struggling. And right now with this Philip will help in the PLI sectors also, because the PLI sectors are only focusing on the big companies. But the MSME focus will help to create the ecosystem of the next level of manufacturing. So overall, a great budget as we see from ASSOCHAM's perspective.
Well, that's great. Vineet, thank you very much for joining us and giving us the ASSOCHAM reaction, ASSOCHAM side reaction as well. We're going now purely to tax, because now the calls are going to be fired in a lot. And Mehul from Mumbai is our first next caller. Mehul? Hi, Mehul. Thanks for holding on for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. I'm Mehul Gala. I'm from Mumbai.
Yeah.
See, just something I think I was just listening to your conversation and the people are giving the good feedback. See, now just for a simple thing which I want to know. In India, there are, for a salaried person, there are various incomes are there. One is a salaried income, there is a rent income, there is a capital income. So I just want to know, this 10 lakh ka slab, it generally cover only the salaried income or only the rental income, excluding the stock market income? That was one question to it.
Okay, fine. I'll Sanjeeva, take that, please. Sanjeeva, only salaried income or other income or total income when you're calculating a slab? Can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So now the FM clarified in a couple of times in the speech that this slab rate of 12 lakhs does not apply to special rate income, which are capital gains, etc. So it will not apply to capital gains, but it will apply to other kind of income such as rental and salaries and interest. So the special rate incomes for which a special rate is prescribed, they will not be eligible for this 12 lakh slab. Yeah.
Okay. Ramakrishnan from Chennai. Ramakrishnan is calling from Chennai. Ramakrishnan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, go on, ask your question. Shoot.
No, I just wanted to make one small comment with respect to the what we have been showing on the TV. See, it's a bit confusing when you say tax is zero.
See, tax as per the new regime is zero only up to 4 lakhs. After 4 lakhs, till whatever the slabs are there, the tax is going to be assessed. Every assessee is going to be assessed for the tax. For example, somebody drawing 20 lakhs, he will be assessed a tax of 2,20,000. He will not get the 12 lakhs limit. What happens is, up to 12 lakhs, there is 71,250, including that 75,000 of your standard deduction. The tax will be up to 12 lakh 75,000, it is 71,250, which will be given as a rebate. So you will get the rebate only when you file your return. So the catch is on that point. So you should change your headline as tax rebate increase from 5 to 12 lakhs.
Yeah, but you can put it like this also, Ramakrishna. I was also confused on that. That was the first point I was making. So what happens is I think net tax will be zero up to 12 lakhs. You file your tax, you'll get a rebate.
You will be assessed for your tax.
You'll be assessed for your tax and
up to 12 lakhs, you are liable to pay 60,000. But since there is a provision which has been given, they are saying up to 12 lakhs, whatever is your tax, you need not pay. I give you as a rebate. Simple.
Yeah, but you are under my scrutiny. But you are under my scrutiny.
Yes, you are always. So only if you file your return, can you claim your the benefit of the rebate. So it is a very good catch that they bring all into the bracket. And the higher, for example, 20 lakh person will have to pay 2,20,000.
So are you saying it's like one of those, one of these cellular companies which say we'll give you 0 gigabytes, zero money for gigabytes till we start?
Yes, up to the slab rate you are fine. After the slab rate you are chargeable to tax from 4 lakh.
Yeah, but it's good. Are you a chartered accountant, Rama?
I am a practicing chartered accountant.
I can make out now.
And my mobile number is 405
Nice. What do you say?
He said his mobile number for people to
Okay, no. Don't put your mobile number. I'll charge you for advertising there.
Yeah.
And I'll charge you 100% on that. Ramakrishnan, thank you for calling me. Kunjan from Ahmedabad. Kunjan.
Hello, Arnab and Big Public team. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
I would like to make a comment here. Again, I feel it again as a salaried class. And this 12 lakh income tax completely looks like a PR stunt coming into going next election. Why I am saying this? Old regime had deductions like HRA, NPS, ATC, interest on house loans and whatnot. I mean, living in a rented apartment across metros, and we have seen how impossible it is for salaried class to pay rents, pay education fees, pay health insurance. And
but there's a rental concession also, no?
Only for new tax is something fooling.
But there's a rental concession which has been added here also, isn't it?
Increase from 2.4 to 6 lakh.
From 2.4 to 6 lakhs, it's gone up, Kunjan.
That is for TDS.
But will the salary class be applicable to apply that? I mean, there is no clarity.
You get clarity.
Okay. By the way, Prime Minister Modi met Nirmala Sitharaman and congratulated her, saying you present a very good budget. On the point that was made there, Mayank, you want to respond. Is it really a PR stunt? I don't think so. I think it's a transition, but I think it would be unfair to say that. Can you unmute yourself? Unmute yourself, please.
Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Loud and clear, yeah.
Right. So I would digress with the comment made by the guest. I mean, see, ultimately, the fact of the matter is that in the long term, there has to be a rationalization. Right? To simply say that deductions are being reduced and not being given by way of different nomenclatures may not be the right approach. And it's also the fact that being the citizens of this country, we are under a responsibility to pay due taxes to the overall benefit of the country as well. So a PR stunt, I believe, would be overkill. Yes, in the short term and in the medium term, there might be some minor pulls on the middle class as well. Although that also, I believe, by virtue of the significant portion between the 5 lakh income bracket to the 12 lakh income bracket will be neutralized. So if I look at it from an overall perspective, I would say that this is not akin to a stunt in that sense. This is much more of a balancing act. And they've just been tried to be fair to everybody to the extent that's possible.
Yes, I think that's true. Rohan is calling in from Gurugram. Rohan, are you there?
Okay, I have a question. If I can take it to Sanjeevan Narayan.
Yeah, please.
Can we say, Mr. Narayan, that now the effective rate of highest tax slab is not 33% but 21%? Like, does it really affect me if I'm in the top income bracket?
Considering that the rates have been kind of, although we have now multiple rates, but yes, the considering the rationalization that has happened, things would look much better and rosy for the taxpayers, especially in the lower income groups. What really may be a point to be discussed is the tax administration and the working of the internal department. But I hope that the new tax laws, the income tax law that's likely to come in, will help in rationalizing the tax administration and making it more user friendly. Yeah, that's my take.
Okay, we have Sunil Sanghai, chair of the FICCI Committee on Capital Markets and founder and CVO of Nova One, who's joining us right now from FICCI. Sunil, hi. How do you look upon this budget? How are the capital markets reacting to this?
Hi.
What have been the expectations and anything on the tax issue?
Yeah. So, Arnab, I would say that this is a very creative budget. It's actually a sum of three things.
Nirmala Sitharaman is
consumption, capex, and at the same time, consolidation.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me? Okay. So on one hand, consumption, we all know that the way the tax rates have been reduced, almost 1 lakh crore, and that will increase the consumption. On capex, there was a bit of confusion as to what the capex numbers are going to be. The capex numbers are maintained. Plus, there is a very creative announcement to say the asset monetization will be recycled back into the asset creation. So that's around another 10 lakhs crore in the next 5 years. So on an average, 2 lakhs crore of additional capex which will come in, and that will actually support the private sector capex investment and the fiscal consolidation, which is more than what the market was expecting. So this combination is very creative, and I think this is going to go a long way.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sunil, for joining us there from FICCI. I'll go back on the tax issue. Murali Hariharan is calling in from Chennai. Then I'll take a short break. I'll continue till 2. Then I'll come back in the evening. Yes, Murali. Murali, are you there?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Arnab, and good afternoon to all the panelists. And it's really a welcome move by the Finance Minister for the tax exemption and everything. I think it is in the new tax regime. You will get a rebate of around 20,000 or whatever it is. But it would have been much more sweeter if the Finance Ministry would have removed that 4 to 8 lakh 5% tax. Because in our country, 1 lakh per month earning a middle class are very less in percentage.
Yeah.
So I think that 4 to 8 lakh 5%, if it would have.
No, but you'll get a rebate on that.
Yeah. Rebate, even in 12 lakhs, you have to pay, first pay the tax and then you claim for the rebate. It is there, I understand.
You're saying there should not have been a tax at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
That 5%, if it have been removed and then started from 8 to 12 lakhs, 5, 10, 15, 20, and then it goes on to 25.
Yeah, that's an observation, not a question, but thank you very much, Murali, for that. And Chandar is calling in from Bengaluru right now. Chandar?
Yeah, hello, sir. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hi, sir. Yeah, I'm good, sir. I'm a big fan of you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I have two questions here, sir. I still have a doubt, they say that, will still 12 lakhs, there is no tax, but still I see the slab as a 10% and 50%. And I have another question also. One of my brother is an NRI, and he wants to, invest on a property here. So in case if he buys a property, how much tax he will be paying, sir?
Sanjeev,
you want to take that or no?
Yeah.
You see, this we've clarified a couple of times earlier. The new regime. Let me just clarify the difference broadly between the new regime and the old regime. Old regime, the slab rate is tax exemption is 4 lakhs, and you are entitled to certain deductions on account of various exemptions, contribution to provident fund, LIC, insurance, etc. So, if you want to take advantage of that, you have to perforce opt for the old regime. Under the new regime, you get a exemption of 12 lakhs by way of a rebate to the amount of tax payable from 4 to 8 lakhs. So you forego of the exemptions, but you get a rebate of tax which is about 70,000. Now, so that is the difference between the old and the new regime.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, as regards NRI taxation, it will all depend on the amount of rent that he receives. He'll get a rebate for certain expenses they can cut their against. And what is his other income? It's very, very person-centric and assessee specific.
Changes, yeah.
So
From assessee to assessee. Okay.